The video is finally here. I am engaged and we're gonna talk all about it in this video. What is up, boyfriends, girlfriends, and everybody in between? My name's Lexi. If you haven't seen my face before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and the nice comment shout out of the video goes to this person right here. Thank you so much for all of your kind words. They truly mean the world. And if you want to be my next nice comment shout out in my next video, just leave a nice comment down below. Welcome to the video, you guys. I am smiling so much because of so many different reasons. One, I'm engaged, yay. Two, I'm finally getting around to filming this video. And three, which piggybacks off of two, I am healthy. I have been sick for 2 weeks straight. I had norovirus for the last week. This is only my second or third day feeling like a regular functioning human being, and before that I was having some really bad pain from some fibroids that I have. I'll probably talk more about that on my channel, probably in some of my vlogs, but that has been a bit of a journey and a challenge that I've been going through recently, and so having those two hit like back to back had me down and out, and I just could not sit down in front of a camera for obvious reasons. So I'm very happy to be back. I asked you guys to ask me some questions about my engagement on Instagram, and I also asked you guys to ask me some questions in the comment section of my last video, but I didn't get as many questions, so I'll be answering mostly questions from Instagram. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. Before I get into answering questions, I'm just going to share some information, I guess. I got engaged in October of 2024, so last October. Time flies by so fast. I can't believe it's already February, and it has been amazing. I was caught completely by surprise. The proposal took place in France at the Palace of Versailles. Oh my gosh, such a dream. Ever since I was little, I told everybody like I want to get proposed to in France. It used to be at the Eiffel Tower, and then I was talking to my mom about it when I was little, and then she was like, you know, the Eiffel Tower is like kind of dirty around there. I don't think that's where you would want to have your proposal at. And so then I was like, okay, maybe not the Eiffel Tower, but somewhere in France. And my dreams literally came true. The ring is specially designed for me. Everything that I could have ever wanted in a ring. Got a question about that we'll get into a little later in the video. But yeah, proposal of my dreams. You guys saw pictures on Instagram. I'll also add them in this video. It was an absolute fairy tale, and I am so grateful that my love story has unfolded and is continuing to unfold so beautifully. The first batch of questions deal with how did I meet my fiance. We actually met on Hinge, and I think this would be such an amazing moment to say Hinge is sponsoring this video, but they're not. However, I will go into every single detail of how we met if Hinge sponsors our wedding. Ooh. You know what they say, shoot for the stars and land on the moon, right? Our first date was an amazing dinner date in Buckhead, Atlanta. The rest is history. There were a couple of questions about did I know he was the one as soon as we met and all of that good stuff, so we'll get into that a little bit later. Someone said, glad you're feeling better, Lexi. Thank you. How did you meet your fiance? Any advice for a single girl? So as I just said, we did meet on Hinge. Advice for single girls is to date, like truly actually date. I'm speaking heteronormatively here, but there are so many guys, there are so many people who like to waste time, honestly, or are uncertain about what they want, or like to use people as placeholders. And I feel like a good way to weed those kinds of people out is to make sure that you're actually physically dating. You can sign up for a pen pal service if you want to send letters and messages back and forth for ever and ever, but making sure that you're actually dating. I also feel like when you actually date, you learn a lot about yourself. You can also learn a lot about another person, whereas like if you had met that person for 3, 4, 5 months and you guys are just kind of in this talking stage, which you guys know how I feel about that whole thing. I don't even acknowledge a talking stage or a situationship, because if you're not actually dating somebody, I hate to break it to you, but in my rule book, it's non-existent. Rather than exchanging messages and putting in so much emotional labor and emotional energy into something that isn't really substantial, the more energy you give to that sort of connection, the less likely you are to actually find somebody who is putting their energy into actually finding a real life connection that they want to last long term. Date cautiously, of course. There are a lot of dangerous people in the world. There are a lot of people who have bad intentions, unfortunately, so be smart. Always share share location if you are meeting somebody new, that whole thing. Did you know he was going to propose? Also, similar question, were you completely caught off guard or did you have an idea that you'd be getting engaged? I had no idea whatsoever, you guys. I truly had literally no idea. Whenever we're kind of telling the story, I always say, and this is the absolute truth, I did not know that he was proposing to me until he opened the ring box and got down on one knee. That's how surprised I was the whole time. A little bit of the story, not gonna get into the whole thing because it is our story, you know, but a little bit of the story. We were in France for a little less than a month. I remember when we got there, his mom asking me if I wanted her to take me to go get my nails done. And I feel like for another person that could be like a, you know, alarm going off. For me, not so much. She was here visiting in the States like last May, I think, and one of our first kind of solo hangouts was me taking her to get her nails done. And so I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was just like kind of our thing, you know? We also have these kind of like monthly dates. We call them our like month anniversary. And it's always on the number of the day that we met, and exactly a month later, so that same day of the next month, find a relationship. So every single month on that numbered day, we go on a special date. It happened on our month anniversary, and I was not surprised that I was getting all dressed up. I was not surprised when he asked me if I was planning on doing my nails, because he knows that I love to have my nails done, especially for a month anniversary. And I just didn't think anything of it. So we get all dressed up, we go to the Palace of Versailles. Also our month anniversaries, he plans them, they're always a surprise. So once again, I had no idea we were going to the Palace of Versailles. It's just a typical month anniversary. And honestly, like, brava to him. I know for some people when they get proposed to with their partners, like all of a sudden planning all these romantic, amazing things, but that is just who he has been our entire relationship. So it just felt like another day in the fairy tale of our love, honestly. And I'm so grateful to say that, and I'm so grateful that it was such a surprise. Another thing, while we were walking through the Palace of Versailles, I love museums and like historical sites, things like that. He does as well. And one of our first couple of dates was going to the High Museum in Atlanta. And I feel like that was like a definitive moment in the compatibility that we established in our relationship, was that we both actually enjoyed going to a museum. We're walking through the Palace of Versailles. I was taking my time. I was taking pictures of everything. I was taking pictures of the crown molding on the wall. And I realized that he was walking a little ahead, which is like not typical. And I said, hey, like, am I moving a little too slow? And then he was like, oh, no, you're fine. They're just like these gardens that I want to take you to, and I just don't want them to close. And so still didn't think anything of that, because he just wanted to take me to some gardens. We're at the gardens. It's pouring down raining in France this day. And as it is pouring down raining, we're like walking and navigating through the gardens. And then he says, I actually want to take you to the Marie Antoinette house. I think that you will really like it. It's super beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, so down. We're walking around in the pouring rain, and this is so funny, but my favorite weather is like rainy, gloomy weather. So I'm still having the time of my life. And when I tell you, the signs at the Palace of Versailles in the gardens were so confusing, we got so lost. I noticed that he was getting a little antsy, and I was like, hey, like, it's okay. We're lost together. As long as I'm with you, I'm happy. And I noticed that, like, of course he appreciated me saying that, but he still seemed very antsy. Still didn't think anything of it. Come to find out, there was a photographer following us the whole entire time, even through the rain, from the moment we got to Palace of Versailles, following us. And there was obviously like a time that we had to be at the Marie Antoinette building. I can only imagine from his perspective, so chaotic. And meanwhile, I'm just like, I'm just happy to be with you. I'm just having a good time. Like, it's okay. We get to the Marie Antoinette building, and that is where the proposal happens. It was so beautiful, as you guys can see through the pictures. I could not have imagined a more magical, a more beautiful, more romantic, and more special proposal than that. And I will selfishly say, I 100% believe to the core of my being that I had the most beautiful proposal that has ever happened in the history of the world. And that's how everybody should feel, and I'm just so blessed and so grateful that I feel that way. Did he ask for your mom's blessing beforehand? Yes, he did, and my mom obviously said yes. My mom absolutely adores him. She quite literally calls him her favorite future son-in-law. And it's so funny because, as you guys know, I am an only child, and that will be her only son-in-law. That is her only future son-in-law. So they have a really cute relationship, and my mom is very happy for me, very happy for us, and yeah, all is well in that department. Color theme for the wedding, girl, I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. We have not actually started planning yet. I'm so nervous to start wedding planning. I feel like the wedding industry in America specifically is so predatory, things are so expensive. I saw something and it was like the average cost of a wedding in America is $40,000, which I think is ridiculous. I've dreamt of my wedding since I was little, but I will be planning practically, okay? I will be planning practically. I understand that it's like a magical day. It's so beautiful. And if anybody cares about how something looks, it is me. However, I feel like there are ways to have a beautiful wedding cost effectively. It's going to take a lot of time and planning and strategy, but I believe that I can do it. I believe that we can do it. Somebody also asked me if I was going to do a wedding planning series. No, I'm not. I feel like it's already going to be really fun and exciting, but since I've been looking into wedding planning things, looking at advice, hearing what people have been saying, it is a huge undertaking, you know, like bringing two families together, having things cost so much money, having so many logistics to deal with. I don't think that I would enjoy doing a wedding planning series. However, I will be talking about my wedding planning journey as I'm going through it in my vlogs and things like that. So please stay tuned, and I might also do some wedding specific videos on my channel as well. Did you guys move in together before or after you got engaged? This is a great question. I know this is a controversial topic. We did move in together before we got engaged. Personally, I never envisioned myself marrying somebody that I had not lived with. I feel like that is a huge aspect of partnership. Like that's a huge aspect of compatibility. I understand a lot of people disagree with that. I understand that a lot of people agree with that. I don't necessarily think that there is any right or wrong way to do things. However, I would encourage a loved one in my life, if they were serious about their partner and if they believed that that was somebody that they would want to consider marriage with, I think that living together is an important step. Learning a brand new side of a person. I understand that also a lot of people feel very strongly about telling people what they think about cohabitation before engagement or before marriage. I think a lot of the time it can come from a place of judgment, and I don't agree in judging anybody's actions that aren't directly affecting you, aren't directly harming you, or aren't harming them and anybody around them. Will there be any parts of his culture in the wedding? He is Togolese, so we actually are hoping to do some sort of a celebration in Togo. Going to Togo will be my first time in Africa, and I'm so excited. Anything that he would want to include culturally, I see that being included. After all, it is a celebration of two people becoming one as a union, and I think that showcasing his culture is very important and will be a beautiful addition to the ceremony. How did you know, yes, this is the man I would love to be married to? Someone else also asked, okay, ask me again, but how did you know he was the one? Because of my personal experiences, I knew what I wanted, I knew what I was looking for, and I knew that I would know when I found it. So qualities like attentiveness, honesty, integrity, I feel like integrity is a huge one. I don't want somebody to be loyal to me just because they're scared of being caught by me. I want them to be loyal to me because that is their character, and they wouldn't want to let themselves down of the standards that they hold themselves to. Integrity is a huge thing for anybody who might have relationship anxiety or might have anxious attachment especially, but even generally. When you're in a relationship with somebody whose integrity you can trust, you won't waste your time and energy worrying about things that you can't control or obsessing over doubt and uncertainty and being respected. So integrity was a huge one. Leadership as well. Responsibility, financial responsibility is a big one. Somebody who was educated and also ambitious. He's all of these things. So how gentle he is in his spirit, and also this innate trust and feeling of being protected by him is what led me to explore a relationship further in the very early stages. How did you guys meet? Already answered that one. And how did you navigate being post-grad job searching and a relationship? That's a great question. He is a few years older than me, and it was honestly very nice and beneficial to be able to have somebody who wasn't in that same period of career uncertainty and trying to figure out so many things after being in college. I definitely did feel a bit of anxiety, and I feel like that anxiety came from me feeling like a lot of my self-worth came from what I did rather than who I am. And I've always said from a very young age that I will know that I found my person when they love me deeply for who I am, not what I do. That literally sums up the way that I feel loved by him. I was able to lean into that, and being somebody who is an only child who has been very independent my whole life, that was a learning curve for me. Being vulnerable and scared and uncertain and having self-doubt and letting somebody see that so vulnerably and so closely. But vulnerability is a superpower and a gift in a lot of ways, especially in romantic companionship. Somebody on YouTube asked for ring details. So my ring is an oval solitaire. It is on a yellow gold band. It is a high cathedral setting. It has 4 prongs, and the prongs are also yellow gold. He went to a family-owned jeweler in Atlanta. I had talked about what I wanted in a ring. Every once in a while, I'd like say one characteristic or whatever. We would like openly talk about it. I never told him like, this is the ring that I want. It was easy to talk about it because I love jewelry and I've always had a fascination with engagement rings. This is my dream ring, and I never stepped foot into a jeweler. We never went ring shopping together. He did it all on his own. A very special detail is the bridge. So on either side of the band there are a number of diamonds, which are the day of the first month that we met and also the month following that when we made it official, and now that we also got engaged. There's absolutely nothing that I would change about it. Alright you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I am gonna go ahead and sign off, but before I go I want to remind you guys to spread kindness and always remember that the less you wander, the more you wonder. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.